westbound rest stop along I-10, the Best Western there in Milton, Holiday Inn Express in East Milton as well. We've got the Pelican RV Resorts, the Milton Marina, all of these areas right along the bay there. We're also looking at Gator Seafood, Cedar Lakes RV Park and Campground, Sticks and Stones Real Estate. Let's see. Hickory Hammock Baptist Church, Wingate's Air Conditioning, Grace Believers Bible Study Church, Florida Sunrooms and Enclosures, and that's just a few of the landmarks there.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look and just see what else might be a hazard with this storm. We'll check for hail just quickly. And yes, there appears to be hail coming out of this storm too. So this is a serious bit of business that's going on in South Santa Rosa County and is moving up very rapidly toward northern Okaloosa County. I want to take you back out, though, to a wider picture of what's going on around the area and walk you through just some of the action, and there's plenty of it. This is out ahead of a main line that's being pushed along by a cold front, and that line is back over Mississippi, and it stretches from around just north of Gulfport to just north of Chatham in Washington County, Alabama. This is moving slowly toward the east. Now, the storms along here are racing along that line. It's like trains on a track. They're going at about 60, 65 miles an hour, but the entire line itself is moving steadily but slowly through our neighborhood, and it may be 7, 8 o'clock before it finally exits the Florida Panhandle. Once it passes you, however, then your threats are going to diminish greatly. As a matter of fact, you probably will just see a few dribbles of rain after the line passes, but you've got to get through this first. We're seeing severe thunderstorms along this line. Then the warnings extend into Greene and George counties in Mississippi, and then you've got another severe thunderstorm that is moving out of Monroe County. Now, as a matter of fact, this one should be dropped in just a few more minutes because it is leaving Monroe County at a fairly rapid pace. And that leaves us with just spotty, heavy rain and this one area of really severe weather for the time being. So we're going to focus our efforts there and kind of give you an idea of what to do. Caroline, some new information appears to be coming in. What is that?
They are just updating the tornado watch, still remains in effect until 7 a.m. So that tornado watch means that conditions are favorable for tornadoes. We're certainly seeing that this morning. John, it does look like that rotation is broadening just a little bit, but it is moving over I-10 at this time.
All right.
So that would include places like Harold Volunteer Fire Department, Gilliard Equine Wellness and Performance, Blackwater River Wildlife Management areas, kind of where we're moving towards Burn Grocery Creek Trailhead, Southeastern Energy, Dreamcatchers RV Repair, places around there near Harold.
Okay. All right, so here is the situation. Tornado warning until 3 a.m. If you are in now, it looks like more of this northern and eastern Santa Rosa County or on up into northern Okaloosa County, you should already be making your way to your safe spot. And just as a matter of reference, let's see if I can find the safe spot again. There we go. Here is where you would want to go in the event of this tornado warning. So it is going to be the interior room of your house, as far from any windows as you can possibly be. So it may end up being a closet, could be a hallway. At my house, it is a hallway. Maybe a bathroom as well is certainly a possibility. That's where you want to go. And I have seen this over the years many times where, especially with an EF2, EF3 tornado, it can take down the outside walls of a house and the inside walls will be left standing. So that's why we tell you to go, if you were just wondering why we tell you to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. That is the situation. All right, let's see what else is going on here. Caroline, any new information?
National Weather Service just saying, as we said, John, that the rotation in Santa Rosa County has broadened, but they're still going to stick with the warning in case the storm is what we call cycling, which means it kind of starts to broaden out a little bit and then it tightens back up. We see that in these types of environments.
Okay. See if I can get this, trying to get this mobile radar to fire up for me and get there we go, that's what I'm looking for. Storm relative velocity is where we want to be right now. And let's get this up and into the center of the picture. And I'll bring you in a little bit closer still to this, and we can look at that circulation. And you can see the colors here of the reds and the greens starting to separate, starting to broaden out. You got a bigger area of red, a bigger area of green. The problem comes as they get tighter and they get brighter. That's when you are going to see, more than likely, the circulation that can lead to a tornado on the ground. In this case, that threat seems to be lessening, but I'm going to think that there may be some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds associated with this. This is no slouch just because those winds aren't circulating in a tornado. 60, 70 mile an hour winds will certainly get your attention. It's enough to take down weak trees and knock down big branches. So that is something to bear in mind. Let's get you in a little bit closer. And Caroline, if you could take us right down to street level there, and let's get going with some. Tell you what, we'll just do a handoff here.
Do a
you take that.
Passing of the torch there. Yes, so starting kind of wide picture here, it does look like we are seeing that broaden, as I said, but keep in mind these storms are absolutely racing this morning. So these storms are producing winds and moving very, very quickly here. Let me just make sure I adjust the camera there. But this is moving at around 65 miles per hour, so it does look like that this is now north of I-10. What rotation we do have north of I-10, north of Highway 90, where they get very close together there. So we're still south of Indian Ford we're tracking here. So just keep that in mind. Let me pause this loop here and we'll go down to street level. As John was saying, it is a bit messy, the circulation at this time, just because we're starting to see it broaden out. But as the National Weather Service said, typically sometimes we do see these storms cycle, which means they broaden and then they tighten and they broaden and they tighten. So we are looking at this tornado warning stay in effect until 3 a.m. here. So kind of zooming in on some of these areas closer to street level, we're going to start to the north of this messy circulation and we'll work our way southward. So we've got Deaton Bridge Road, we've got Blackwater River State Park, we already called that community out, Bob Pitts Road, Bryant Bridge Road, down towards Floordale as well, closer to Harold's. Let's see if we can zoom in on some of these areas. Boundary Line Road, I do believe that this is moving into the Blackwater River Wildlife Management area, so I do believe that this is a little bit less populated, which is good news. We just got another scan in here, and it's still looking messy, John.
Yeah, it really is. I am thinking at this point the threat of a tornado is lessening. The threat of severe thunderstorm winds is probably increasing. You mentioned some of these streets. Let me mention just a few things that are in that area.
Sure.
Dreamcatcher's RV Repair and Wilson Lumber Company and IAA Pensacola is out there as well. And near there is where you would also rent the canoes for Blackwater River, and Southeastern Energy is in that part of the world as well. Okay.
So John was mentioning the chance for severe thunderstorm winds as this rotation continues to broaden, and I just sampled some of these areas here. Now keep in mind this is pretty far away from the radar, but we are looking at around 50 to 60 mile per hour winds in that storm right now. Again, keep in mind we are pretty far away from the radar at this point, but we'll get you back down to street level and maybe talk about some of the areas that are seeing the highest winds currently. Looks like closer to Parkerville, we're seeing really strong winds here, maybe up to 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour. This is near Eglin Air Force Base. So we got Eglin Air Force Base Road, all of those areas here, likely not super populated because it is the Air Force Base. But let's go back to storm relative velocity here. Still looking really messy there.
Yeah, it is. And we also have some new information on the storm in northern Monroe County.
Okay, is it out of our area?
It's out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it does look like that was canceled for our area because it's moving northward. So it's out of the News 5 neighborhood here. We are looking at that severe thunderstorm warning being trimmed back. And so the only active warnings we have in our area currently are situated over northwest Florida. So this is Santa Rosa County as well as into Okaloosa County. We got about 10 more minutes of this warning left to go. But as John and I were saying, the rotation is very broad. I'm checking out some rotation down there near Fort Walton Beach as well, John. We'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, and also, as we mentioned, that this is producing some strong winds. We've had a report of winds, even as this was moving just onto the coastline, 62 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is really a wind producer.
And I'm going to toss things over to Chief Meteorologist Ed Bloodsworth. He is in our weather center tracking some other things. Ed?
Yeah, as we're approaching here at the top of the hour, we kind of mentioned that we're still dealing with multiple hazards, and we will all the way through about 7 a.m. That's 7 to 8 o'clock this morning. That's where we anticipate that the severe threat will wind down. But as John was kind of passing along there, the wind that came in with that thunderstorm as it passed by to the east of Pensacola International, producing that 62-mile-per-hour gust. But let's quickly run through where we stand in terms of the active watches very quickly. We got that tornado watch that remains in effect. We are seeing that watch that's now getting trimmed back for areas in central Mississippi. Again, it's that big line of thunderstorms that has been rolling through. That's really going to be the big severe weather issue here. But here's the good news. They've been keeping their eyes on that tornado-warned storm, which again has been broadening out. The good news here is that there are no active severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings along that line of thunderstorms. However, we anticipate that as this starts to move through, which it's now moving into Greene and George counties at this hour, even now moving into northwestern Washington County, the environment ahead of this line is still going to be conducive where we'll see individual thunderstorms within that line that will take on some supercell structure or start to spin. And that's the concern, that although Mobile County, you're not seeing a whole lot of rain now, or even most of Baldwin County, aside from those storms in north of Bay Minette, but don't want to let your guard down until that line passes through. Once that line gets through, then conditions will start to improve. As we've been tracking those storms there in northwest Florida, watching there, we've seen some of those indications that we've had some upper level rotation, again, getting a little bit more difficult to determine at this point. But John just mentioned it before tossing it, that storm north of Fort Walton Beach now is also looking a little suspect on the radar picture. No active warnings for that, producing some good thunderstorms at this point. Let's go ahead and time this out for you, the latest run of our predictor. So this is now, as we push ahead towards about 3:30, we've had to make some adjustments based off of the current radar projections, but once we get to 3:30, so in about 30 to 40 minutes, that line will be rolling through Mobile County, through Washington County and Clark County. So Grove Hill all the way down to Bayou La Battery and points in between. And again, severe weather is possible. In fact, it's expected within that line. At the very least, some very intense wind gusts, straight line winds, 60, 70 plus. And from there, the storms will continue to roll east. Once they cross Mobile Bay and then move east of 65, the atmosphere will still be conducive for this line of storms to produce winds and tornadoes all the way through northwest Florida. So Pensacola, Fort Walton Beach, Crestview, Eglin Air Force Base, still going to be dealing with a tornado threat all the way through about 7 o'clock this morning. Once that moves through, our winds change direction. They become westerly and drier air begins to work its way into the region. So again, it's that about 7 o'clock time frame. That's really the target time that we're looking at when we anticipate all of this to finally exit, setting us up for some nicer weather here as we move through the day on Tuesday. So guys, bottom line, what we're telling folks is multiple hazards continue. We're also dealing with a flood threat. We've got flood advisories. We've had a lot of training storms, and that compounding with the winds, which we're already still seeing gusts in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range outside of thunderstorms. And with such saturated ground now, I think the issue is going to be some trees coming down. We've had plenty of that. And again, guys, additional power outages. A lot of folks are watching here on WKRG.com as well. And the power outage situation has only gotten worse over the last about 3 to 4 hours, guys. We'll send it back to you at the wall.
Okay, guys, so we just got word from the National Weather Service. It said the rotation in this severe thunderstorm, as we've been telling you, is starting to broaden out. So they are going to let the warning expire at around 3 a.m. So taking just a quick look here, like I said, it's super messy. What we're looking at, as Ed was saying, is the reds and greens really close together. We're just not seeing that at this point. It does look like very broad rotation and certainly strong winds in this storm, but the tornado threat has come to an end for this specific storm. storm. Not for us through the morning, though. We are expecting more warnings, and of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on air and online as well. We'll continue our stream online until this event is over, even if we are not on air for a tornado warning. But we are looking at this line of storms, kind of big picture before we wrap up here, moving into the News 5 neighborhood, starting to move into our Mississippi counties at this time. We are looking at the chance for damaging straight line winds along this line, as well as spin up tornadoes. So this is something that we're going to be tracking through the next several hours here. We've got that tornado watch in place until 7 a.m. I will say, if you are heading out on your morning commute in the next several hours, take it slow. There's a lot of debris in the roadways because even outside of storms, we have seen really strong winds up to 60 plus miles per hour in some spots. So I ran into some trash cans in the roadways as well as limbs, things like that. So just take it slow out there. But for now, the entire News 5 First Alert Storm Team is here to continue to keep you updated, and we'll continue our stream online as well. We'll leave the radar picture up for now as we kind of gather things, and we'll check back with you guys in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, can anybody hear me back there? There we go. Wow. So it'd be hard to see
rain wrapped
where a tornado might be, but that is the hazard with pretty much all tornadoes in our neighborhood. You're not going to run outside and see something like the pictures you see in magazines from Oklahoma, where you have very little precipitation with those storms. We tend to have lots of rain, and it makes it very hard to see what's happening. But that's the situation out at Providence Hospital, blinding rain and lightning as well. We do have an additional area covered by tornado warnings. You got one just a little to the north of where we were a moment ago. So I want to bring you in closer there. Let me center this. And we have more information coming in even as we speak. Bring this down just closer still.
They're just kind of trimming back those warnings, John.
Okay. All right. Do we have a time on this? Well, I guess I could find out that time myself, don't you think? If I just come down here and click on it, we ought to be able to come up with the time for this morning, maybe. Yes, there it goes. So this one runs also until 4:15. I'm going to just double check to make sure that that's the situation with both of them. But I believe, this more southern one is till 4:30. Let me scoot this whole picture up here and look at some of the communities in the path of this storm. Get this off the screen. See here. Oh, well. So here is the situation for this more southern storm. Also moving, let me back that up. It looks to be moving also at about 40 miles per hour. So let's move forward here. Well, somehow I ended up way down to the south of me. Here we go. I think we're on it this time. Here we go. So we'll go out to about 40 miles per hour. And these are the folks that are going to be in the path of this more southern storm. Oakwood Estates right now. This is serious. Right now means right now. It's in your neighborhood, and you need to be moving, in fact, running to your safe spot. Mobile Christian School, same thing. El Monte, Wildwood Heights, these are moving more into West Mobile and eventually more toward Midtown Mobile with Cottage Hill and Country Club Estates. It's just 3-4 minutes away. These are fast-moving storms, so you need to take action very quickly. Caroline, we're going to be coming to you in just a minute for an overview of where we stand with all of this. But right now I did want to do one more thing, and that is come in closer still. Check the shear on this, and then you can see this line right here where the main line of thunderstorms is. Let me go ahead and get you closer in on this, see if we can find some of the streets that would be in the path of this storm. You can see that we're moving right into a very highly populated area. This is storm number 1 moving toward Whistler and Chickasaw and Pritchard. Just over the next couple of minutes, we have what looks to be very strong shear in this storm near Ashley Oaks right now. Yes, it is strong shear. And if you want to take over here and take a look at some of these streets, I'll come over here and check for landmarks, and
Perfect.
and we'll get this moving a little faster.
Yeah, as John was saying, this is a very dangerous situation here. We're moving into extremely populated areas. We're going to kind of switch this to, let's switch it to storm relative velocity. And as John was saying, that when we look at Doppler storm winds, we're looking at the reds and greens really close together, and you're not seeing that here. And that is only because we are so close to this radar. Because the radar beam shoots upward, this is kind of a cone of silence, if you will, where it's hard to see exactly where the rotation is, but we do suspect rotation in these storms heading towards very populated areas. So kind of zooming out here to give you a sense of the big picture of things here, we are looking at 2 tornado warnings in central Mobile County. So we are looking at 2 areas of rotation, 2 possible tornadoes. This means you got to get in your safe place immediately. So you have to get in your safe place now. And what does that mean? That means you got to get into the interior portion of your house. Put as many walls between you and the outdoor world as possible. No windows. It might be a closet. It might be a bathroom. It's a closet in my house. But you've got to go now because these storms are racing. This is moving east at 45 miles per hour here. So it's moving quickly, and you're not going to have much time. So go ahead and get in your tornado safe place. If you are anywhere near Saraland and Chickasaw and I-65, approaching the I-65 corridor there along Highway 43, Charmingdale, as well as Alpine Hills. Again, we've got 2 areas of rotation. We're going to kind of zoom in on some of these areas here first with the first warning. Let's see. I think the mouse over there is messing us up a little bit.
Okay, well, while you are looking at that, I did want to mention that the first storm, the more northern of the 2 storms,
Yeah, this is the one we're in.
yeah, is moving right now toward Kushla. The University of Mobile is out that way.
Okay.
Chickasaw Park is something a lot of folks are familiar with. So that's essentially where that is now, moving just north of Highway 158.
Highway 158, alrighty. Yeah, it's just so tough to see these rotations.
Is tricky. Yeah.
It is tricky, but it's moving over Highway 98 at this time as well. And so we're talking places approaching the I-65 corridor. So that does mean Pritchard. It does mean Neely. Remember where Moffett Road intersects I-65 as well. Okay, I'm listening to my producer here. We are going to toss things over to meteorologist Grant Skinner, and you said he was where, Evan? He is along Highway 98. He's seeing very strong winds at this time. Hold that thought.
This is a new tornado warning.
Let's hold off on Grant for just a second, Evan.
And this runs until 4:45 a.m. This one a little further south still, located over Coden, Biola Battery area, moving east at 45 miles per hour.
I see it right there. All right, so we are looking at now 3 separate tornado warnings in Mobile County. This is a very dangerous situation here. This is what we were hoping didn't happen, where along this line we are seeing it kind of break up a little bit to where we're seeing individual areas of rotation along this line. So now we are tracking 3 tornado warnings in Mobile County. We'll zoom out with the big picture, then we'll go down close. These 2 are confirmed tornadoes at this time, the northern 2. So we'll start with the northern one. Be careful of that mouse, John. I think it's jumping over here with Link's one. But we are looking at an area of rotation heading towards the I-65 corridor along Pritchard, Saraland, and Satsuma as well. We're looking at another tornado warning along Highway 98. This is approaching the I-65 interchange there along 163. The city of Mobile, downtown Mobile, is in the path of this storm along I-10 as well. The Bayway is what we're tracking too. And we'll zoom in more on these warnings. I'm just giving you the overview right now. This is the new tornado warning in effect until 4:45. John, how fast is it moving?
All right, this one is moving toward the east at 45 miles per hour. Most of them have been moving in that 40 to 45 mile an hour range.
Okay, so this is currently over Bayou La Batterie and Coden. It's heading towards Del Champs as well, the Alabama port. We'll start with street level in this storm, and then we'll work to the other two warnings. So let's look at street level there. The rotation currently along Highway 188. So this is the highway that takes you to Dauphin Island. So just keep that in mind. So this is Bayou La Batterie along Rock Road as well. Let's kind of zoom in on more of these areas that we're seeing. Winsell Avenue, St. Michael Street, Mara Drive, Bayou Drive, River Road, Purtle Street, Highway 188, like we mentioned, Satsuma Street, Midway Road is where we are seeing this rotation moving over currently as far as a heads up. County Road, as well as Hemley Road, Davenport Street, as well as Rock Road heading towards Nelson. So these are the areas that we are tracking in South Mobile County. This is one of 3 tornado warnings that we are currently tracking here. And we are looking, I'm going to put a bit of a track on this one, and then we'll move to the other tornado warnings here. But do you see these wavy lines that we're tracking? Those are looking like areas of rotation. That's how we're going to have to kind of track this here. But I'm going to put a track on this specific area of rotation moving east at around, I got to walk it all the way out here, 40-ish, 45-ish miles per hour. So Del Champs, you got 5 minutes. Bellingrath Gardens in South Mobile County, that's in Theodore, around 5 minutes. We've got Battles Wharf in 23 minutes, and then it's going to be heading into Baldwin County if it holds together. So just keep that in mind. But you've got to get in your tornado safe place immediately. All right, so let's move to the more northern storm. This is the second of 3 tornado warnings, and it does look like seeing a little bit more of a clear signature with this one now that it's moving further away from the radar. But it does look like it is.
You might want to check the shear on that one. You may be able to see it now.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's zoom in on this area. Ooh, we just got a new scan. Let's check back with the velocity. John, do you mind checking the WKRG camera?
I'm looking at it right now. It is nonstop rain and a good bit of lightning. But I'm not seeing a tornado on the ground here. I'm looking out at Providence as well, and it's so hard to see through the blinding rain. You can hear the rain on the roof of our studios, right. And I'm guessing you can probably hear it on the roof of your house if you're anywhere near this.
Right now, the highest shear is just south of Lad Peoples Stadium, so south of Government Street at this point, Halls Mill Road, Old Shell Road, south of Highway 98. Yeah, the rotation is still kind of tough to pick out here.
But I'm starting to think that's it.
There.
It's coming out a little bit of the out of that cone around the airport, and that there looks more like where it might be. Just there to the scoot up a little bit, and near there to the east of Mertz.
Yep, agreed. Okay, so right now south of Lad Peoples Stadium, we're going to go ahead and read off some street names here. Douglas Street, as well as Houston Street. So this is heading towards downtown Mobile. Owen Street, Baltimore Street. I cannot stress this enough. We've got 3 tornado warnings all in Mobile County. This is a very dangerous situation. You need to get in your tornado safe place immediately. These storms are moving very, very quickly, and we are looking at 3 separate areas of rotation, likely going to see more in the coming hours here. There it is.
Yep. Yeah.
Right now, crossing Broad Street. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit further away from the radar. The rotation is a little bit clearer. South Broad Street right now is where the rotation is passing. It's approaching the I-10 corridor, heading towards Mobile Bay and the Bayway.
All right, I'm checking all of our cameras. I'm not seeing the actual rotation. Again, it's tricky because of the very heavy rain that's associated with the storm. And boy, down in South Mobile County, it is nonstop lightning.
Right.
All right, so let's check in with Grant and see what he has for us.
Yeah, do we have Grant, Evan? There he is. All right, Grant, what are you seeing out there?
Hey there. Yep, so we are just, we've been tracking storms now headed east. Okay, so we've been tracking the first one that was headed into northern portions of, really north of downtown, so closer to Saraland. Now we are actually about to head east on Government Street. So we were tracking this storm. We were watching it as it made its way over the interstate. Could not see the tornado clearly, but the winds have been very strong in this area. I saw them pick up over the interstate. Even my photographer even said that he could see the winds swirling over the interstate. So again, this is a very dangerous situation if you're in portions of central Mobile County and even portions of Baldwin County, as this warning makes its way over county lines and goes into Baldwin County. You need to be in your safe place if you're anywhere in those areas, because we are continuing to track this storm. You can see rain's really coming down here. The winds are getting really gusty, and we're going to track that rotation all the way through on the way to Baldwin County as this system continues to track east.
All right, thank you very much, Grant. We are looking now at the big picture of things. We have a line of thunderstorms now producing tornadoes, or at least enough to produce tornado warnings in Mobile. I'm going to step over and adjust the camera for a moment and get that squared away. All right, so we did have 3 tornado warnings. One of them has expired, and that would be the one that was our most northern warning. But I did want to say, all of this area, all of this along this yellow path here that follows right ahead of this line of strong storms, all of this area for Mobile and Baldwin counties is under a severe thunderstorm warning, and the winds out of these severe thunderstorms have been upwards of 60 miles per hour, which is enough to do damage. It can knock over weak trees, can bring down big limbs, can blow stuff around in your yard, including like trash cans that Caroline says were in the road when she was trying to make her way to work this morning. I'm sure it's even worse now, but that's the situation. We have a line of thunderstorms. Once it passes you, there's still some dribbles of rain, but the severe weather threat ends almost immediately. And this is starting to work its way from west to east across our News 5 neighborhood. So I'm going to bring you back down closer into all of this. Let me see if I can just zoom straight in on it. We'll find out in a moment. And bring that down here. And it doesn't want to cooperate with me. There it goes. Wow! All of a sudden, it decided to function. All right. So, and let's just check the velocities on these. You're going to find that Biola Battery, this has passed you now. It's right along this line here that we would be most concerned, and right up into downtown Mobile proper. So I want to take you here for starters. So let's move this to the center of the screen and come in closer on it. In fact, a lot closer on it, and show you what's going on. So here is where we are looking at the possibility of really ugly weather. And it looks like it's moving out of downtown Mobile into Mobile Bay, the Bayway, the Causeway, and of course the river delta. So nobody is in this area right now. If you're in Mobile, you're getting very heavy winds. You're getting all of those things, but the tornado threat is moving across the bay toward Spanish Fort and Park City. So that's the situation here. Let me scoot you down a little bit into this more southern storm. And the worst of the weather here is at Bell Fountain, Bailey's Corner, and Faustinus, all the way down to Alabama Port. It parallels the coastline of Mobile Bay, and this is some ugly, ugly weather. I want to check and see if we have some debris in this, and it does look like there is at least a small debris signature just to the east of Delchamps, so that's where we would look for the actual tornado to be. This other areas would have very strong winds, maybe 50, 60, even 70 miles per hour, not out of the question. But that's the situation. I want to bring you in close here and just show you where this is. So let's take you down, right on down to the coast here. And Delchamps Road, I mentioned the Delchamps community. Delchamps Road is one of the roads We get in closer still and see what we can find. Not a whole lot else out here other than Del Champs Road, and this would be a DIP heading down Dauphin Island Parkway, heading down toward Dauphin Island. So that's the area right in here around Del Champs Road, and you need to be in a safe spot right this minute. There is no time left for you to wonder. Just get to an interior room away from windows.
Hey,
and,
John,
yes.
Weather Service saying line is moving into Mobile Bay. Baldwin County is next area we're watching very close.
And you can see that the last sweep that just came across is bringing that line out into Mobile Bay. Let me go ahead and just bring you back to the reflectivity and show you what's going on here. There we go. And pull out a little bit. Let's see here. There we go. So you can see the line just starting to work its way offshore, and that's moving very quickly. So it is going to be in Baldwin County before much longer. We go to the wide picture of things. You also have a fairly strong storm moving out of Crestview and eventually out of Okaloosa County. Destin getting some very heavy weather right now as well, but the weather threats have been in Mobile County. The Mobile storm, I told you, had moved into the Mobile River Delta, and it kind of started falling apart. So that warning has been allowed to expire. The only active warning now is South Mobile County. Tornado warning, and that also has moved into Mobile Bay for the time being and heading across toward Baldwin County. I'll take you down there in just a second, but I did want to mention some of the other folks that are seeing ugly weather, and that includes parts of Monroe and now heading out of Clark County. Clark County, you're almost done with this storm, and once this line moves through, you will be done. Same thing for West Mobile. The areas that were under a tornado warning just minutes ago are now seeing rain and nothing else, just really some moderate rain at that. The heavy weather is along this line and a few storms out ahead of this, so I do want to take you down and just show you what's happening here in the area around Crestview. I don't know why that doesn't seem to want to do what I want it to do, but it's managing. So this is around, it's moving out of Auburn and Crestview into places like Dorcas, and as we slide down here, Flowersville, Laurel Hill, all would be seeing very heavy rain, gusty winds, and in this case, probably 40, 50 miles an hour. Still no slouch. Don't get me wrong. It will get your attention, and it can move stuff around in your yard and also knock down some tree limbs. But overall, that threat is lessening for you. You will be getting the main line before the morning is done, and Caroline has some more information for us right now.
Yes, so it does look like the tornado threat has ended for downtown Mobile, for the city of Mobile, Metro Mobile. The only tornado warning that we're focusing on is in South Mobile County. It does look like that area of rotation is now moving into the bay. Okay,
so for a few moments we get a quiet period, and that's why I'm kind of taking you on a tour of other places that are seeing some weather. You got some down here in South Baldwin County. These are just heavy rain events. Bruton is just finishing up with some of that as well. This is the main line that we have been following, and it has been a real mess. Very heavy rain has also led to some minor flooding in a few spots. Caroline, is there anything we need to add to this while we've got a moment where the tornado or the potential tornado would be out over Mobile Bay?
I will say that even outside of this line of storms, just the wind is really kicking out there. So I just looked a moment ago and winds were currently gusting to 50, 60 miles per hour out ahead of that line. So that's not even to do with the thunderstorms. And so limbs, trees, and now that the soil's pretty saturated, we could see some trees coming down a little bit easier. Like John said, when I was on my way into work this morning, there was a lot in the road. So limbs, even trash cans, and some of those trash cans are navy blue and hard to see at night. So take it slow on the roadways, and take it slow also because the wind is so strong out there.
Okay, you see a new tornado warning has popped up. That's just outside of our News 5 neighborhood in Walton County in Florida, but we need to go back and just take a look at this for a moment, show you exactly what is happening here. And once I go over this with an overview, I'm going to have Caroline take you down to street level and show you what all is going on. But right now, there are no streets to deal with because the situation has moved into Mobile Bay, and it looks like that warning is going to be allowed to expire. Is that the case?